What's happening, guys? We're on our way down to Manchester just now. We're doing a podcast with Tom Smyth today. So Tom is a friend of David and I's. We're doing a little bit of mentoring with him as well. He very kindly agreed to come on not only one of our Property Sourcing Network group mastermind calls, but also obviously this podcast that we're on our way down to do today. So we're going to be speaking about, business, mindset. The guy's crazy. He gets up at like 4:30 in the morning. He done the stair equivalent of Mount Everest, so it should make for a good conversation. So it should be loads of value, and we're looking forward to it.
I've done 1.2 in 3 days.
Hustling 24/7.
That's the 4 towers there. It's a good shop. That's where I live. I live in South Tower, but I used to call round in the mornings before it was ready. Security staff used to say to me, "Are you the crazy guy?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "We've heard the story. Are you the man that runs the stairs?" And I'm like, "That's me, boy."
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Property Sourcing Network pop-up podcast. We are here in the city of Manchester today with the Tom Smyth. So Tom and I have known each other probably about 6-7 months or so, Tom. Something like that. David and I are doing a little bit of mentoring with him at the moment, which has been good. We were just saying in the car down, we drove down this morning, like there's so much stuff happening in this city at the moment. Like where we're from in Scotland, there's nothing like this going on.
Manchester is on fire.
Aye.
Yeah,
it is. Absolutely. So I don't know if you just want to give our viewers a little bit of a kind of overview on you, Tom. Obviously, businessman, mentor, successful author. You very kindly came on one of our mastermind calls the other week there.
Totally my pleasure too.
And the feedback from it was amazing. Yeah. So we just knew we had to jump down and get this podcast. So thanks very much for your time again, mate.
my pleasure. So my name's Tom Smyth. I am a mentor. I am a Grant Cardone licensee. Recently I became an actor, an author. I'm a dad. I'm a granddad. I'm a husband. And I'm just me. And I am hustling 24/7. I love life. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Very proud of it. And God saved my life too. So
it's interesting. So see, you touched on it there. So like, this is the first question we've got. Like, what is it? Because you've got all that going on. Obviously, dad, granddad, and everything else as well. But what is it that drives you every single day then?
yeah, like I just got goosebumps thinking about it. I totally believe success is my duty. Yeah. Like, I mean, I wake up in the morning, I'm nearly ready to salute the mirror because it's up to me. It's really, everything's down to me to provide this amazing life for my wife and kids. Yeah. I grew up in Belfast. I was born in 1974. I grew up in a cycle of violence where death, terror, murder, bombs going off was our normal daily life. And Belfast gave me a shit ton of resilience. Yeah. At the age of 10, I got my first job working in a fish and chip shop. My mum and dad couldn't afford to give us the nice things in life, but they give us an incredible life. And we lived in a house full of love. My mum and dad are in their 70s, they're still alive. And one thing that they taught me was hard work works. And at the age of 10, I was the kid that worked in the chippy every day after school. I got paid £10 a week. And the young entrepreneur was born at the age of 10 years old. And since then, I worked for the army and police as a contractor. When I worked as a contractor in Northern Ireland, I was actually a target. A guy offered me, he says, "Would you like to earn more money than anybody else?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And he says, "Okay, so it's called danger money." I'm like, "Tell me more." And at the age of 18, I become a contractor working on police stations and army bases where I had all the lads working for me, putting roofs on buildings and stuff. And I remember one time we were working on the police forensic lab, which was in the countryside, and the policeman came running out and says, "Get off the roof." And we were all like, "What's wrong?" And he says, "There's a sniper in the forest," because there was trees just across from it. And we were all about to get popped off the roof. What do? We get down off the roof. We had our lunch. The army and the police obviously went to find the sniper. And we get back on and started doing our job. Yeah. Our abnormal life had became normal. Yeah, yeah. So, when I'm ever getting into a meeting and stuff and people are saying, "Are you nervous?" Nerves don't come to you, when you've grew up in that. And it really does give you emotional toughness. Yeah.
I imagine like must some resilience comes with that, the thick skin that you growing up and that sort of like. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, to be honest, but it's
Well, yeah, you know, when you hear people going to London and getting their watches robbed and stuff, my mate says to me, "Be careful in London." I'm like, "I'm from Belfast, man. You know, nobody's taking my Rolex." But it does just make you very emotionally tough and resilient.
What was it like sort of growing up day to day? Because like myself, completely, I can not relate to that whatsoever. So what was it like as like a young guy coming up, trying to like survive in that environment every day? It must have been.
Well, yeah, you know, there was times that, like, if you were in the wrong street or the wrong area, you could have been killed. You know, it was a war. It was a conflict between two communities, and I'm very proud to say that both communities came together and we found peace in 1994, down to our community leaders on both sides. But growing up as a kid, it was tough. But the other side of it was death and terror had become normal. You know, when somebody had died, it was very unfortunate, but people were forgot about very quickly because our abnormal life had became normal. You know, it was when you think back, it was horrific. You know, bombs going off, workmen being killed, innocent people, soldiers being killed, police being killed. And it was just like, did you hear the news? Yeah, somebody else was shot. Terrible. What do you want for your dinner? You know,
Madness, isn't it?
yeah, and it is very sad to say that it seems like a distant memory now of, was my life really like that? Because
totally different.
it was crazy. It really was crazy, and I definitely wouldn't have brought my children up in it.
So from working from the fish and chip shop and stuff like that, how do you transition into business from there? Then what's the sort of process involved in that? From
I believe any business, you have to have a burning desire to succeed. And at the age of 10, I felt this fire inside that I could literally run through a brick wall. And, you know, I genuinely, I wake up, I'm 50 years old now, and I still have that burning desire. I'm ready to go right now. And I've been up from very early this morning.
do you think that comes from your childhood or growing up like that, or what do you think was installed in you from that? Because a lot of people, you know, we kind of take it for granted. We're all so busy, but a lot of people just don't have that. It just doesn't exist in their life.
That's the thing. Like, how many people start businesses these days and they try it and they don't get up at you get up at 3 o'clock or something in the morning or 3:30, and they don't get up at 3:30. You know, and they try and make a success of the business and then it just fails. So there's something different in what you've done that's out with the norm.
I just realised that, you know, number one, anybody who's wanting to start a business, a very good business that's going to become successful. Like we spoke about this yesterday in our mentoring session, because I'm very proud to coach the two of you guys. A successful business will take about 5 years for it to become a success. And now with the power of social media, everybody wants this Instagram life now. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And I keep going back to the same sentence. Hard work works. There's times I've been involved in property deals and my accountant has said to me, that's never going to work. It's just not stacking up. And I'm like, all I need is the right team. Trust me. And things have always worked around because I've stayed in it. You know, if you do not give up, you cannot lose. And I do not know how to give up. I'm never going to give up. It's not going to happen.
It's dead interesting because that is the way that I think, and to hear it for you is it's a tick in it. So
it's funny about like solicitors and accountants and stuff like that trying to just keep your best interest, isn't it?
I have the most amazing accountant, and based on the facts and the figures, he was giving me the right advice. He was doing his job brilliantly because he is amazing at what he does. But I just had a vision knowing I can make this work. And I'm a great believer for anybody out there, including you two guys who are on their way to the top. You really are. You have to have the vision. And it's so relevant that we're here today with your amazing videography team and stuff. But in Manchester, I had the vision 4 years ago that I was walking the streets of Manchester. I seen myself living in this home. I seen myself walking through the streets of Manchester and knowing everybody in the top restaurants, knowing everybody in Selfridges, knowing everybody in different football clubs. And I had the vision before it came. And everything I visualised is now real. Everything.
I mean, you're quite big on the mantra and stuff like that. So is that all what you're sort of talking about there?
Mantra and visualisation would be in a line. But I mean, I actually seen it in my head. And just to touch on it for everybody, I seen myself driving Lamborghinis and flying in private jets years before I done it. Because instead of instead of having negative thinking, I'll replace a negative thought with a positive thought to take myself out of negativity. But then when I've conquered that, I'll then have fun with my imagination. My imagination is my vision. And I see myself living here. I see myself living this life. And then a sentence that I would like to give to everybody that's relevant: walk in the shoes of the man or the woman that you want to become, and you'll become that man or woman. Now, what does that look like? Walk down the street in the 50 million version of you. Walk down the street in the happy version of you that's got the wife and the kids, if you haven't got it yet. Or walk down the street in the version of you that wants the Lamborghini or the Ferrari or the Mercedes or the Rolex. But walk in the shoes of the person that you want to become and visualize that person, because then you'll become that person. Because what we think about all day, we become.
Yeah.
And I know if I think about the wrong thing in life, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So I don't think about the wrong thing.
I was speaking to the lads about that in the car down, like, because before I started working with you, I didn't do anything like that, and I was a bit kind of on the fence. And I think a lot of people are. You're probably maybe a wee bit stuff like this, like you're thinking it's a wee bit kind of fluffy, but actually, like, the more you do it,
I don't think I've ever been called fluffy in my life.
just the pillows, mate. But when I first started, I was telling the boys on the way down, like, I wanted that Rolex for ages, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
And I was looking at second hand once the watch market was super hot, couldn't get anything. I think it was at Manchester or Leeds we were in. I think Manchester, was it?
I think it was Leeds.
And he popped up his phone, he'd done a wee voice note onto some guy, and all the time in business when you go out and meet with people say stuff and then you never hear anything again. And sure enough, 2 weeks later I got a phone call from an Irish number, Northern Irish number, and I was just about to reject it because I was like, that'll be a fucking call centre or something like that, man. And I took it, he's like, yes, Mr. Morrison. I was trying to do the accent right, and he was like, your watch is ready to pick up if you want to come and get it. And sure enough, the exact watch that I'd been visualising and writing about and we spoke about, I paid for it that day, flew over to Northern Ireland the next morning, picked it up, and it was exactly the one that I wanted. Brand new, 130 people on the waiting list ahead of me. So it definitely does work.
You know, the other thing about that is I felt privileged that I was working with you as my client, and I'm very lucky. If I have a contact in Rolex, why would I not bring that to the table for somebody who I respect and I'm enjoying on the journey with me? And then I was out walking the dog with my wife, and you sent me the most beautiful text message. Tom, there was X amount of people in the queue in front of me and you got me this watch. It means the world to me. And that message meant more to me than 50 grand. So, you know, it goes both ways. I just believe in this life, especially in property, you have to be full of integrity and empathy and trust. So when you're trusting me to coach you, instantly I want to repay that by, if I can bring a service to you, and getting you a watch was just, well, I felt it was a privilege for me to be able to help you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's on this journey for anybody that's in the mentoring, property courses, podcasts, whatever it may be. It's our purpose to help each other. Yeah. Like right now, you guys are doing this podcast to have more eyeballs on you, but you're also doing it to help people with the knowledge. That's why you're doing it.
That's the thing, because
You're doing it to serve.
When you start in property, you think, I'm going to do this all myself. You know, I'll be able to flip properties and do deals and stuff. And you soon realise, like, we don't go, we've obviously got a network, it's got nearly 170 people in it now, but it's like the people that don't join is the ones that are questioning, no because I want their money, it's because you're like, you can't do this on your own. You need to be in networks, even if it's no yours, you need to be in different networks and surrounded by different people doing
like
the same stuff.
Even today, you're in Manchester, and I'm glad you took my advice yesterday. You've got multiple meetings to meet multiple people, and it goes in line with the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Because you start connecting with people. It's the same. The more calls you make, the more money you make. And people nowadays want to send somebody an email. Get on the phone.
What's up?
Yeah, but get on a call.
No,
Be
I know,
personable with
100%.
somebody. People do business with people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you mentioned, just to take a conversation at a different spin, you obviously mentioned in your intro that you were you're a recovering alcoholic. So what was that like? Obviously coming through in business, you're building your businesses, and obviously you've got that addiction. What was that like to overcome? How hard was that?
Yeah, so my alcohol story is a bit different than anybody. Well, we all have our own story. At the age of 18, I realised alcohol didn't work for me, and I stopped drinking. And I didn't start drinking again until I was 30. And at the age of 30, alcohol turned me into a rock star. And I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. I loved it. I was out having all these amazing times. Thought I was Tony Montana or whatever. Like, I lived the life.
What sort of money do you think you were making there when you hit 30 that you were that rock star lifestyle? Because it's quite an interesting journey not to drink and then all of a
20
sudden.
grand a week, maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I went from being super clean, 18 years old, 30, going out on the scene, met an amazing girl, married her, had a beautiful kid, my daughter Farah. But I started drinking, and I was drinking and enjoying it, and drinking and controlling it. But then alcohol is an aggressive disease, a very aggressive disease. And by the time I'd hit 40, alcohol was taking over my life. If I had a really good week, I had a drink. If I had a really bad week, I had a drink. And you know, it's also so relatable to all the amazing women out there, like wine o'clock and the girls going to meeting and burning through 6 bottles of wine. My beautiful wife's friend died, and she was a girl who drank a couple of bottles of wine a day. You know, so, you know, alcohol is a killer disease. It's a very aggressive disease that you go from being somebody who people would maybe call themselves binge drinkers, and then they end up being day drinkers, and then they end up being every hour drinkers. And now I'm a big advocate in my own head for recovery, for AA, for, like, I didn't save myself. God saved me in my alcohol journey. It was a power greater than me, and I'll never forget it. You know, I will never forget it. And I also know alcohol is like self-development. Unless I'm putting work into my recovery, I'm dead. You know, and anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you want advice, you'll get the amazing property advice from the lads. If you want alcoholic advice, send me a DM. But you have to watch it. You know, people can be out celebrating their wins through alcohol too. And then the more wins you get, the more aggressive the disease becomes, and then it will take control of you. I never thought in my life alcohol would have took control of me, and it did.
So do you think then that that was a massive sort of influence in developing your mindset and the work ethic and all that coming off the back of that?
Yeah, like I could not operate drinking alcohol.
Totally.
I would not want to operate drinking alcohol. I believe now anybody who's mega professional does not drink.
Mm-hmm. No, you've said that is.
Which is
Yeah.
totally true.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you think about how many people that you know that are flying,
I know.
a lot of them don't drink.
Here's the easiest calculation in the world, and it's a minimal justification because it's a lot more than 2 days. Say you feel like shit 2 days a week and multiply it by 52. It's 104 days a year that you've just burnt away with a hangover, but it's probably 3 days a year. So you get into 150 odd days that you've wasted, and you're looking going, who is that calling me? Fuck, I don't want to answer that. And you've got the horrors, and you're seeing a Northern Ireland number. You don't know it's a Rolex company, you know. And like, listen, I want everybody and anybody to have a good time. Alcohol didn't work in my life. I found that out.
So I'm still definitely at the stage, like self-admittedly, that have a good week, you know, get a wee bottle of red wine, glass of red wine, a Friday night or something like that, or a couple of beers. You know, that's we spoke about that. You went through me, so
I went through, but I also went through control
no, I
drinking.
know, I know.
Like, I'm not trying to say to anybody not to have a good time, but you don't see it creep. I did not see it creeping up on me.
It's a days thing for me. It's like when you do actually look at it, because like you get a bit older, it's like 2 days. If you've had a heavy session on the Saturday, that's you're fucked on the Sunday, Monday, then Tuesday, you're pulling yourself together. Do you know what I mean? So there's Monday and Tuesday pretty much gone.
But
And
then
you do times
we,
that by how many times you have it.
we also live in a world now where there's class A drugs everywhere too. And the bit that bothers me is it nearly seems like normal now, the amount of people taking cocaine. Like, I also know that a lot of people who are dying from taking cocaine, especially I'm 50 years old, people in their 40s are all having heart attacks from taking it and dying. So, you know, it's not these glorified, amazing, nice things. You have to watch what you're doing out there. And to all you amazing people that are out there making money on the property world, please be careful that the addiction doesn't creep up on you, because it will.
My dad was an alcoholic, and it ultimately ended up taking him. But I was interested. Do you think it's something you're born with, like part of your brain, or do you think it's just that sliding scale where you end up drinking, then you drink a little bit more, and then before you know it, it consumes you? Or do you think it's
Yeah, like I believe I personally have an ism inside me where I have an addictive personality. I'm addicted to success. I'm addicted to fitness. If I eat one mini Mars bar, I will eat fucking 12 mini Mars bars. So, you know, it's completely in my DNA. I feel that I'm wired differently. Whereas my beautiful wife can have a glass of red wine and say, "Look, I'm not enjoying that." Where I would drink 6 bottles of it. Totally. Well, I would have. Yeah. So yeah, I believe I have the ism, and it was alcoholism until I dealt with it.
You're addicted to working now?
Fucking yes.
Yeah. One of the things we were speaking about yesterday, just on that topic, was burnout. And I was kind of telling you I was struggling with burnout recently. I've been working 6-7 days a week for the last wee while. And you gave me some quite good advice. So first of all, do you ever get burned out? And
Yes.
then have you got any advice to help?
Yes, I do. I would be not doing anybody a service if I said, no, I don't get burned out, I've got a machine. Yeah, I do think I'm a machine. I do 3:30 in the morning, 6 days a week. I wake up on a Sunday and I do zero, absolutely zero. I will not look at my phone. I will not look at an email. On a Sunday, I will put my phone away in a drinks cabinet that we've got purposely, and it will stay in that for about 6 hours, sometimes 12 hours. And I do a complete disconnect from the whole world. And I would say every 6 to 8 weeks of really putting it in, I hit a bit of a wall on a Friday afternoon.
What do you do then?
I go for a massage with my wife. I get my body rubbed out to take any muscle pain away. A Saturday morning, when I go to AA, instead of getting up at 3:30, I normally get up about 7. I go to my AA meeting at 8. I chill out. On a Sunday, I'll have different naps throughout the day. But like, I'm still talking, I'll train again on the Saturday. Yeah. I'll do a 5-mile walk on the Sunday. I'll still go to the gym, but I will allow my brain to completely switch off. I will not think about a property deal. I probably won't even use my vision and my imagination. And it's a complete reset. Yeah. It's a complete and utter reset. And I definitely go into the present moment and be very present with my beautiful wife and my kids and my granddaughter, Nova. Yeah. And I want to hear what they've been doing all week. And I want to, instead of, "You okay, Daddy? Yes, I'll see you in a minute." Yeah. I don't want to be on my phone when I'm with my wife and kids. I want to be with them. Yeah. And being present.
It's one of the big things that I struggle with just with my wife and kids. It's like just the presence, and she pulls me up all the time. It's like talking to a brick wall, all that.
But yeah, and here's the thing. What do you call your wife?
Alana.
Alana. Like, Alana deserves her husband to be present. 100%. And like, I know her husband, which is you, and he's a great guy, and she just wants that guy that she married. Yeah. And she's so over the moon for your success, but she's missing her husband.
That's it.
And like, my wife's a 20 out of 10. And I'm like, the only thing she's ever asked me for in my life, my time. She's never asked me for a Rolex. She's never asked me for a bag. She's never asked me for a Ferrari or come and book a private jet. She just wants my time. And if I can't give her that, there's something seriously wrong.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Aye, so the law of attraction then, is you quite big on that? We were talking about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can think, what people don't realise is, it is so true what I mentioned earlier, what you think you become. I can think myself into huge success. I can think myself into depression. I can think myself into really strong states of anxiety. Yeah. And your brain and your mind is a magnet. It really is a magnet. And I've used it I use it every day for property deals, and I use it to find solutions to issues. This morning I woke up and I had an issue on a property deal, and I thought through the process. I seen myself doing the phone call, and when you guys arrived, I was already sending the email on a successful phone call with the solution that I'd been thinking about from 3:30 when I woke up. Yeah. So the law of attraction is so true, and the thing is, we're all on different frequencies. So if you're on a high frequency, the law of attraction is going to work at its finest and bring you the things that you want. But the law of attraction also works in a negative way. So it depends it's so to be careful what you wish for and be careful what you're thinking about. Yeah. Because you're going to attract both. So you should only be thinking positive things. So you're only attracting positive things.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
was just thinking about getting up at 3:30 in the morning there, and one thing that I think is quite inspiring about you, mate, which is what kind of drew me to you in the first place, is like I normally get up pretty early, right? But see, sometimes by 2, 3, certainly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like I'm done in, my head's burst, I've had caffeine and stuff like that. How do you maintain the energy all through the day then to be able to do everything you do in one day with getting up at that time? Like what about diet and training?
Yeah,
And
you know, I felt privileged last night. My mentoring clients, our normal session in Dream Mentoring is at 6 o'clock on a Monday night. And last night it was at 8:45 because I travelled from Glasgow down. And at the end of it, people like went, "Where did you get that energy tonight?" Like I went insane last night on a session on bulletproof mindset. But I didn't wake up this person. I have built this person over about 10 years of getting up at 5 o'clock, getting up at 4:30, getting up at 4, and then realizing there's a game changer if I get up at 3:30. But I didn't wake up some guy who can just get up early. I built that over years. Like using the law of attraction and using different frequencies and understanding the universe has been through years of knowing what works, what way to practice it, what way to use it. And it's just the same as a successful business. It takes years for you to become a certain way.
I think that's dead interesting, because I think, especially when you're quite new in business and property, it's easy to look at guys like yourself. I even look at some guys and I'm like, how the fuck do they do it? You know, how are they so active? How are they getting up so early? And you start to question and doubt yourself. But you just said it there, that's took you 10 years to actually get to that stage.
Yeah,
and it goes back to like, people want everything tomorrow, and they think they can just get up early right away, and they think they can just do all these deals right away. It just takes time.
Failure is the best foundations to build a successful journey on. You need to fail your way to success. And failure is not a negative word. Like, you have both failed to get to where you're at. I've failed a million times. I will probably continue to, but I learn from every single one of them. You don't end up some dude who's driving a Lamborghini. You've made so many mistakes till you get to the point where you end up knowing what works. But it's through learning from your mistakes puts you in that position. Like, I feel privileged as a mentor in my business, Dream Mentoring, to be able to coach people, because I have the experience to say, don't do that. I haven't read some book and I'm trying to coach and mentor people based on nonsense. It's because I live it. And when you actually live it, then people are like, that guy's real. I want to listen to his advice. But it's through making mistakes that's got me to that point.
see, just on mentoring then, like, because one of the things that I think about quite a lot is people always, we were talking about Glasgow and stuff like that yesterday, people not want to spend money, but my view is that, like, you spend the money, but the things that you learn from other people you'll retain for life, whereas the money will come back. But what would you kind of, I mean, do you have mentors now? What would you look for in a mentor if you were someone that was looking to get a bit of guidance?
If you're looking for somebody, you know, you need your mentor, your coach, to be somebody who's done it, who's lived it. You can't take advice from somebody who has never failed, who's never had the, you know, who's never crashed and hit the wall. Like, in our hotel business, we lost 6 million quid in 2 weeks during COVID. And then in the middle of COVID, when we started really winning, I added 300 apartments to our portfolio. So you have to look for people. Success leaves clues. You should be getting coached by somebody who's actually done it, instead of somebody who's all fluffy talking nonsense on Instagram.
You're saying fluffy now.
Yeah, well, I learned it from you, but my point is, how can you take advice of somebody who's never did it? You know?
I think you get quite a lot of that now, especially up our way, probably down here as well, where, you know, people will do a few deals, you know, a handful of deals, and then they think they can start mentoring people and coaching people and starting different groups. So I would like to think that you've kind of earned our stripes, if you like, in terms of what we've done. You know what I mean?
I totally believe
do get that quite a lot.
self-investment is the best investment, and anybody who doesn't want to spend money on themselves are the bigger fool, because everybody has a coach. You know, your Michael Jordans, your Kobe's, everybody's always had a coach to get right to the very top. Your Grant Cardones, everybody has a coach.
To be fair, I was one of the guys for probably 18 months. Just thought, you know, I was in networks, but getting a mentor and stuff like that, paying the money, I was like, no, too much money, you know. And my mindset's totally flipped now.
I think you end up realising, like, your business is you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So the
of course.
better you are,
Exactly.
the more things you learn, the more people you know, the more money you'll make.
Yeah.
It's literally as simple as that. You are, I know it's quite cringy and cheesy, but you are actually the main asset, aren't you? So the better you become, the better everything else becomes, I think. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
So jumping on to sort of social media then, obviously you've got a massive network hanging about with Grant Cardone and Gerard Butler's your friend and stuff like that, and you're going to be, and you're already in a movie, you're going to be in other movies. So social media wise, obviously massive part of business and property. How did you actually scale that from, 0 followers, whatever, a few thousand followers to what you have now, and to now how you've expanded your network into?
Yeah, like, I have to be honest with you, growing up in Belfast, Northern Ireland, like, the thing that we would have said, and it was said at our communities, is don't put your head above the parapet because you'll get it shot off.
Yeah.
So, like, I lived in a guarded world where you weren't supposed to be successful or happy or wealthy or anything. So for me to come onto social media, it was a huge thing because I'm like, am I going to do this? Really?
Yeah.
So I first broke out and went on to LinkedIn. And I remember during COVID, we had taken on a new building in Liverpool for like 80 flats in the middle of the pandemic. And I showed everybody and it went viral. Everybody's like, this guy's insane. He's expanding. And then I went to Glasgow actually about a week later to look at a building that we were shortlisted for. And unfortunately we didn't get. But the rain was completely pouring down. And I mean, it was torrential and it went viral on LinkedIn. You okay there? You're fucking weirding me. You're fucking weirding me out. I'm going to fucking weird motherfucker. What are you doing in my flat? What the fuck are you doing in my flat, lad? The fuck's this dude doing in my flat?
We're just leaving this in, aye?
Aye, yes.
Yeah.
Right, so Tom, just jumped on to obviously social media after that wee hiccup there. Social media, obviously massive thing for business and property. Everyone's on social media. It's very powerful for business. So how did you take your social media to where it was to obviously the likes of Grant Cardone's your friend now, Gerard Butler's your friend. You've just showed us a text message for Gerard Butler. Yeah. So how did you grow your social media presence and followers?
Yeah, like I started on LinkedIn. For anybody who isn't on LinkedIn, you're not doing yourself a service. You need to be on it. LinkedIn is a serious platform. I was very successful on LinkedIn. I remember during COVID, we got a new tower block of apartments in Liverpool. I launched it and people are like, this guy's insane. He's expanded his business during a global pandemic, which worked. I continued to do that. I remember I went to Glasgow and it was really heavy rain and I'd done a video and I was getting completely drenched. Little did I know that everybody would love this content, that I'm standing saying, hi guys, I'm in Glasgow today, water running down my face. It went viral.
Yeah.
So the next thing was I decided I'm gonna have to go on this Instagram. And it was a big thing for me. I remember listening to 50 Cent's book, I was in Santorini listening to 50 Cent, and 50 says like, Instagram, you're gonna have to do it. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And I was very reluctant to do it, but I did it. And it's just, what can I say? It's just exploded since.
Yeah.
But I've done it organically. I've pushed it. I've put content out. I've put content out that serves people.
Yeah.
I want to be a face of an industry. I want to show people. Also, once you start putting stuff out, people start seeing, this guy's consistent.
Consistency, that's what I was thinking.
And it's about, the only advice I'd give anybody is be real. Be yourself on Instagram.
Yeah.
Be yourself on LinkedIn. Because people want to do business with real people.
Yeah.
Instead of fake people.
100%.
So just be yourself.
You were talking yesterday about a stressful situation you were having in business. Mm-hmm. So one of our community members has asked, how do you manage those stressful situations in business?
I will face it head on. And that's what it's all about. You cannot bury it at the bottom of a pile. You got to face it, fix it, and make it better. Face it, fix it, and make it better. And this morning I woke up. I always know that I'm going to wake up with a better, clearer mindset. And one thing that I've learned, when life is punching the shit out of you, keep going. And I've always found when I'm getting the shit kicked out of me by life, which is just normal sometimes, I don't stop and go, right, okay, I'll just park this today. I'll continue to work through the storm. So the following day, I don't have all that work to do that I had to do anyway. Life will fucking do you in sometimes, but you need to keep going. And today I feel completely empowered. And that's what happens when you work on having a bulletproof mindset. But then that's what happens when I put work into myself every single day. And it's all about being relentless. You have to be relentless on yourself. You know?
So what three qualities separate the successful from the unsuccessful? Would you say 2 or 3 qualities that will separate them?
Like the big one for me as somebody who fights out there and like UFC stars or the business person, it's the man or woman that never gives up. And then you need to back that up with consistency and then discipline and then take it up a level from discipline, and it's perseverance. Like on Saturday past, I walked into the gym. No, it was 2 Saturdays ago. I walked into the gym and did not want to go. And my body was going, please don't do this. And I went, this is going to be a perseverance session where my body is asking me not to do it. And my brain's saying, I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it anyway. Yeah. And that's what perseverance is. You know, Mike Tyson says discipline is doing the things you don't want to do and doing them like you love them. And it's a fact. And we're living in a world now where people give up too easy.
Yeah.
Stop fucking giving up.
It's 100% true though. And just one last question from the community is, if you're someone out there that's got a business at the moment and you're maybe doing 100 grand a year, sort of turnover, gross sales or whatever, what things would you do to step that up to try and hit that 7-figure mark? How would you do that, and kind of actionable steps people can take away?
You need a mentor. If you're doing what you're doing and you're hitting 100 grand turnover, you're obviously doing something really good. You just need coached into doing it a lot better. And I'm starting to see the UK and Ireland and Northern Ireland, people are starting to open up to go, you know something, I need help. And really what I do as a mentor and a coach, all I do is tweak people's thinking and wake up the genius that already exists inside their head. And then you give people a universal toolbox of how to win in life. Everybody needs a coach. If you're doing 100 grand, the right mentor will take you to 1 million. If you're doing 1 million, the right mentor will take you to 10. If you're doing 10, the right mentor will take you to 100 million.
Yeah. And what sort of offerings have you got in Dream Mentoring then? Have you got different programs or?
Thank you for asking. Yes, so we have the group mentoring, where you're on a community with all other people, 2 live sessions a week with me, WhatsApp community, which I spark up in the mornings at 3:30. It's not like normal life because everybody wants you to win. And the group sessions are amazing. And then we do bespoke one-to-one with amazing people like yourselves who realise they need coached. And then I'm also a lead sales trainer for companies like Securitas, the Frankton Security Group, Alliance Investment, one of the biggest property companies in all of the UK. I'm their lead sales trainer in the UK and Dubai, because everybody needs trained and everybody needs coached.
Yeah, 100%. And one thing we were saying yesterday at our meeting was this property course that you're going into.
Yeah.
We were saying we'd love to try and get involved in that as some capacity. Do you know what I mean? Because we're obviously trying to break into England just now with, obviously we're Scotland based, but what's the property?
Well, what about making it happen then? Why don't you just come to Belfast on the 20th of July and we'll make one of the parts of it how to do the ultimate property deal and use...
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So you weren't expecting that, were you? But like I wanna continue to add value to you guys. So I'm gonna do certain modules in it, and then we'll do one of the modules where you both get to speak.
Yeah, nice one.
In your journey too. Because we're there to serve everybody that's gonna be at it. So yeah, I've started a new property course. It's on the 20th of July in Belfast. I'm gonna be doing multiple cities. And it looks like these 2 Comanches are going to be doing it with me.
On video now.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, Tom. Honestly, it's been absolutely superb.
Yeah,
Just us, man. Thanks very much, mate.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Winners win.